Hello, welcome you all to the first class of 10th week of GST course. In this class, we are going to analyze the important points to be considered while claiming input tax credit under GST, and also we are going to discuss on mode of utilization of credit. Let us begin. Important points to be considered while claiming input tax credit under GST. The important points to be considered while availing input tax credit are: number 1, the person should be registered dealer under GST. Number 2, the goods and services obtained by him must be used by him in the course of his business or furtherance of his business. The next point is, he should have the possession of invoice or supplementary invoice or debit or credit note of invoice issued by input service distributor or bill of entry or any other related document. Next point, the documents must contain all the details prescribed by the GST Act. The next point is, the registered dealer should provide the details of such documents with the GSTN common portal. Next point is, the return is the base for claiming input tax credit but not supply. The next point, the point of time for claiming input tax credit in case of goods received in lots is the point on which the last installment goods are received. Next point, the input tax credit claimed is reversed when the counterparty supplier is not made the payment of tax. Next point, the input tax credit cannot be availed on the capital goods for which depreciation is claimed under section 32 of Income Tax Act 1961. Next point, input tax credit cannot be availed after the due date of filing the return for September month of the next financial year or on furnishing annual return, whichever is earlier. Next point, ITC cannot be claimed by the registered person in pursuant to an order of demand on account of fraud, willful misstatement or suppression of fact. The next point, input tax credit cannot be utilized for making the payment of interest, penalty, fees or any other amount payable under the Act other than GST. Let us concentrate on utilization of credit. Manner of utilization of input tax credit under GST regime. Input tax credit claimed by the registered dealer is credited to electronic ledger. This ledger is the base for making the payment of his net output tax liability under goods and services tax. This is the advanced feature of tax payment mechanism as compared to earlier indirect taxation system. Under new taxation regime, the input tax credit claimed by the person can be utilized in a pre-established manner, that is explained as utilization of ITC on integrated goods and services tax. The input tax credit of IGST can be utilized in paying the output tax liability under GST is: first, it can be used for paying IGST. Next, CGST and SGST or UTGST in an order respectively. Utilization of input tax credit on CGST. The input tax credit of CGST can be utilized in paying the output tax liability under GST is: first, it can be used for paying CGST and then IGST in an order respectively. Number 3, utilization of input tax credit on SGST or UTGST. The input tax credit of STGST or UTGST can be utilized in paying the output tax liability under goods and services tax is: first SGST or UTGST and next IGST only. It is importantly noted that as per section 49 subsection 5 subsection E, central tax shall not be utilized towards payment of state tax as per section 49 subsection 5 subsection F. State tax shall not be utilized towards the payment of central tax. This ends the discussions of first class of 10th week. In the next class, we are going to discuss on blocked credits or restrictions for claiming input tax credit under different circumstances. Thank you.